Well, hi there, everyone. Good Wednesday morning to you all, and thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis.
And I'm Tim Pham. Guess what, Channing?
What?
Today's the last day of January.
Wow.
It's the last day of January. We made
did
it. We did it, friends. And Thomas is over there chuckling, too, because, Thomas, doesn't it feel like the longest month ever?
I was going to say, you feel like you're celebrating at this point, Tim, because
if you think about it, it's like 6 weeks almost. Like 2 half weeks on the end.
Yeah.
Make it feel like 6 weeks.
there's definitely some time distortion going on in the winter months. I don't know what it is. It always feels like January and February feel forever. And then June, July, August is like the fastest months of the year. It's definitely felt this way because of the fog, and it's a bit more patchy this morning compared to the last couple mornings overall. Definitely a lot better in Spokane, though the airport is thinking there's still a little bit of lingering moisture, but thanks to just a gentle breeze, it's helping to mix out a bit of that moisture. So the fog is more patchy this morning compared to the last 2 days. Looks like Coeur d'Alene, especially along the I-90 corridor, is getting it hit a little bit more heavily. Same story in Okanagan County. Omac's got a quarter-mile visibility at the moment. But for the rest of the week, we're going to track this large storm system already raining heavily on the west side, and we'll see how the rain chances and those rain bands move across the state and into the inland northwest in the next 24 hours.
We're getting right to breaking news now at 6:02. An investigation is happening now after a deadly shooting. So this all happened in North Spokane on the 6600 block of North Kalispell Street. So this is just west of Northtown Mall. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones is there live right now. So Brandon, it looks like there's still police activity behind you. What's the very latest?
Yeah, Tim, that's exactly right. And actually, it's been over 12 hours at this point that this neighborhood has had some type of law enforcement presence, because the initial call came in around 4:20 yesterday evening. So you can take a closer look at just kind of what we're seeing over here as well. We see a large trailer. That investigation is continuing. We've seen some law enforcement or investigators walking around. But what we know so far is that the Spokane County Sheriff's Office was called out to this area after some type of conflict between neighbors. We're told that a man was threatening someone with what was believed to be a baton, and that same suspect made threats the night before as well. According to the sheriff's office, several hours went by of working to de-escalate the situation before proceeding to enter a home where this man was located. That's when they say the suspect became aggressive towards law enforcement, and shortly after, a deputy reported shots were fired. That's when they that's when they also say the suspect was pronounced dead at the scene, and the Spokane Independent Investigative Response Team is now conducting the investigation.
So we were inside the house and we heard a bunch of shots, and that's when I came outside to see what was going on.
That right there was a neighbor you heard from. We spoke with them last night. Some of our crews were here, and then a law enforcement dog and deputy were also injured during the shooting last night. The dog was sent to a veterinarian for medical treatment. The deputy received minor injuries and did not go to a hospital. Again, we do expect to learn more information about this incident as the investigation continues. Anytime we get any new information, we'll keep you posted and updated across all of our platforms. But for now, reporting live in Spokane County, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Brandon, thank you for that update. Happening today, Washington Governor Jay Inslee is visiting Spokane. He's making stops at Gonzaga University, the Spokane Library, and Chaz Behavioral Health. He's here to talk about the future of the aerospace tech hub in the city, housing grants for future development, healthcare services for those in rural areas or who are homeless, and air quality monitoring in compliance with the state's Climate Commitment Act. Taking a look at Northwest News now this morning, in less than 1 month, Idaho's longest-serving death row inmate will be executed.
Thomas Creech's execution is now scheduled for February 28th. A judge issued his death warrant less than 24 hours after Creech's request to commute his sentence to life in prison was denied. Creech was sentenced to death for the murder of a fellow inmate in 1981 and was convicted of 4 other murders. He's admitted to killing dozens of people and just last week was named a suspect in a California cold case murder.
New in the last 24 hours, Governor Jay Inslee signed an executive order to develop guidelines on how the state adopts artificial intelligence into its systems. The state's Tech and Information Security Services will work with cabinet agencies to submit a report on AI that will identify potential uses of AI in state operations. The executive order says the guidelines will ensure an ethical and transparent use of the technology.
And in Idaho, law preventing gender-affirming care for minors is still blocked from being enforced this morning. The Ninth Circuit upheld the injunction on House Bill 71 while the law is being challenged in court. Governor Brad Little signed the bill into law last spring. Now, under this law, Idaho doctors face a felony and up to 10 years in prison if they provide gender-affirming care to kids. That includes things like puberty blockers, hormones, and even surgeries. After the law passed, the ACLU and other groups sued the state on behalf of the families of 2 transgender Idahoans. They claim the law violates the rights of trans kids and their parents. Well, a group of congressmen and women, including Kathy McMorris Rodgers, talked about plans to breach the Snake River dams. So our Tim Pham has been following this story for us and has more on what they had to say during yesterday's hearing. Tim?
Well, Channing, the dams create hydroelectric power for the state and employ Washingtonians, conservationists. They say block the Snake River, which is a natural highway for salmon migration. Someone leaked the documents from the Biden administration back in November. They say the federal government might help replace the power and transportation the dams create if the state decides to get rid of them. Local tribes and conservationists want the state to remove the dams because it would help salmon survive. But Representative Kathy McMorris Rodgers said yesterday the dams should stay.
It serves as a supermarine highway for farmers to ship their products all across America while keeping thousands of trucks off the roads every year.
She also says the dams are critical for the state's power grid.
Well, I don't believe there are solutions. They're going to, and they say that new technology will be developed. They're going to invest in some tribal clean energy projects, but those would still have to be developed.
McMorris Rodgers says after this hearing, she hopes the White House will reconsider what's in that report.
A bill that is supposed to get FEMA money to the sites of disastrous wildfires was introduced in the U.S. Senate. The Malden Act would require FEMA to respond quickly to areas in need after a fire. It's named after the town of Malden in Whitman County that was destroyed in a 2020 fire. Federal authorities would be required to make sure that rural communities get money by working with state or tribal leadership and developing a recovery team. It would also include more resources to prevent secondary natural disasters like flooding, mudslides, and rock slides. The bill was sponsored by Washington Senator Maria Cantwell and Idaho Senator Jim Risch.
Well, the search for a new Seahawks head coach is narrowing down. Just yesterday, we learned Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson will stay with the Lions. He did meet with Seahawks GM John Schneider earlier this week, though. Meanwhile, Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald is still a potential for the Hawks. Schneider is scheduled to interview Macdonald for the first time during the process to replace Pete Carroll. Former Seahawks defensive coordinator Dan Quinn is still a big contender. Right now, he works for the Cowboys. He previously served as head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, where he led them to an appearance in Super Bowl 51, although that was not a great performance in that Super Bowl.
Time is now 6:09, and our weather conditions yesterday ended up much cooler than originally forecasted, and that's because the temperature inversion just held strong all day long. So these were the temperatures across Spokane County, just between about 40 and 45 degrees. What do I mean by temperature inversion? Well, that means colder air is below a warmer air layer. In fact, at about 1,000 to 1,500 feet up, it was about 50 degrees. So if we would have broken that inversion, we would have been nearly 10 degrees warmer just as a result of that. But the fog had a major thing to say about that in our weather pattern yesterday. Now today there's less fog, so I'm less concerned about that temperature inversion. You can already see where it is, and temperatures are in the 30s versus where it isn't on the Palouse, and it's already 45 degrees. There's that about 10-degree difference that you can anticipate in that inversion layer. And once that breaks, we should still be in the upper 40s today. And again, I'm a lot more confident that we're going to break out of it today compared to yesterday.